First question for the panel, and what I'd like, Mary, I'll have you go ahead and start. It's just if you could identify one employment trend that you're watching that businesses need to be aware of.
Great. Well, thank you, Chris. Thank you for the opportunity to be here.
Let's see. Give it one more shot.
Yeah. You can hear me?
No. Why don't you trade with Julia for a moment? We'll see if we get that one going. There you go.
Very good. Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be here. I would just want to share, in 2014 when I was here, we did talk about the importance of placemaking, and we still continue to talk about that. And so thank you, Greg, for bringing that up, because today's talent does choose place first, job second. And to your point, Julia, it is about information, and we all have a role to share in telling that story of what is unique about DSM USA and some of our attributes. But on a trends side, I would definitely just go back to what Catherine said about population. And just in the upper Midwest, we obviously, for the most part, are stagnant, or in some cases, our population growth is coming from predominantly foreign-born in many, many locations across the upper Midwest. And so, you know, a trend that I think we all have to be paying attention to is immigration and our ability to attract and retain foreign-born. So when we look at even who's being educated on our campuses here in central Iowa, and certainly University of Iowa, of just in the Des Moines metro area, we have about 5,000 undergrad students that are being educated here that are foreign-born, and we're retaining less than 5% of them. And so there's a tremendous opportunity there that there are challenges, but we certainly need to be looking at some of these pockets of opportunity for us. If we look at, and I put this out as a bit of a challenge to the group so that we all become better educated about immigration policy and the conversations around a need to reform and modernize our immigration system, which has been in place since 1960. And when we look at, from a competition standpoint, in the US, only 14% of our immigrants come here for economic reasons. But you look at Canada, and 63% of their immigrants are there for economic reasons, fill jobs. And Australia, 67%. So we have opportunity to do some changes in that system because native-born populations across the country are not increasing, and the statistics that you gave, that's only shrinking more. So that is a trend, and I think an opportunity for all of us to really look at that. And then I just mentioned, and maybe we'll have an opportunity to go into this a little more, but the trend that's coming at all of us, excuse me, is the impact and augmentation of automation and AI. And what is that meaning for the training and education of our future workforce, but more importantly, those that are currently employed in DSM USA. So I know I snuck in too. But.
All right, Tom?
Good morning. Good morning. So I'm a linear thinker, so I'd like to just suggest everybody embrace what some of the other comments are. Number one is we need to continue to invest in our community. This is a regional issue, and we need to make sure that people want to live and play and work in central Iowa. So when you think about what Catch Des Moines and Greater Des Moines are doing, they're embracing the concept of investing in our community with amenities that are going to cause people to want to stay here. Growing our population is the second key element to that. If we can create the right environment, we can be a net importer. I remember graduating from the University of Iowa, and the majority of our students were talking about how they wanted to leave Iowa. That's no longer the trend, but unless we continue to invest in our community, it will become one. A state of 3 million people, we just simply don't have enough people living here to sustain the quality of life that we want going forward. And so finding ways to bring workers here is a really positive thing for all of us. The third thing that I want to introduce is that when we think about talent engagement, you know, in order to recruit, it's just not about salary and compensation and benefits. ITA Group has evolved in the company to become an engagement solution agency, and we have a research firm that's been doing a lot of work in this space. Much has been written about talent acquisition engagement, but companies are struggling on how to activate on it. And what we're doing is helping organizations create best practices so that they can activate on what it's going to take to be able to retain talent. In 2018, one of the trends in engagement around talent is that 1 out of 3 people quit their jobs. There's a known trend that there's a reality that there's a slump where people after 2 to 3 years of being with an employer quit their jobs. That's 38 million people in 2018. They're expecting that number to grow by 2020 to over 48 million people, where we're having to hire, train, and develop only to see that terrific talent leave. And in order for us to attract people through the front door, we've got to close the back door of our organizations to ensure that people want to find meaningful, purposeful work within your organization. And we believe that takes culture work, and we believe it also takes organizational identity. Having team members identify with the mission and purpose of your organization. And so my focus is really, in order to attract, you've got to retain.
Matt?
Yeah, Matt McDonald. To give you a little bit of my background, just so you know where my perspective is coming from today. Been with Workiva about 1.5 years in talent acquisition. Before that, a principal for 6.5 years, also in talent acquisition. And then the 3.5 to 4 years before that was in the search firm world, working for a company called Tech Systems. So I've had the benefit of seeing the talent landscape from different perspectives, being, you know, looking for contemporary or contract consultant work, looking for full-time work, and now with Workiva. So when I look at some trends that are happening now, and one that I think is going to continue, it can have both a positive and a challenging spin to it, and it plays a little bit off what Tom is saying, is that when we're recruiting people, we're now seeing that companies are doing a better job of taking care of their top talent. Not everyone, but we are seeing that companies are doing a better job. So that, coupled with the fact that unemployment's 2.4% or around there, and you have a smaller amount of those really talented people that want to leave their company because they're being taken care of by their current company. So it's a very good trend for people in the room that are doing a great job of taking care of their top talent, and that should absolutely continue. But it's also a scary trend for people that are trying to recruit people because not as many people want to leave. And that's the trend that I'm seeing in the talent acquisition side. So it's kudos to the companies that are doing it well. It's also kind of an opportunity for companies that aren't doing it as well to step up their game going forward, because if they're not, then companies, like Workiva, like others, as we're trying to attract talent, it's the ones that aren't being treated really well at their current employers that are coming to us or that are open to our phone calls or messages. So that's the trend I'm seeing, and I believe it will continue.
Beth?
So I did a quick look on the internet to see what the unemployment rate was in March of 2014, and it was 4.4%. So it was almost double where we are at 2.4% currently in Iowa. And as all of your jazz hands just demonstrated this morning, we are desperate to find workers. And what the trend that I see for successful companies are those that are developing that talent internally and that are creating opportunities to engage in the talent development process, not only within their own company, but also in their communities. So they're getting involved with work-based learning opportunities and working with their local high schools. They're getting involved with programs like IJAG and the Evelyn K. Davis Center, and they're bringing in kids from low-income or underrepresented communities to show them their workplace, and this is someplace you can live and succeed, and you can do these jobs. And so by creating those opportunities within their own business, they are ensuring that, number one, people are going to want to stay and work because they have that sense of investment, not only in their work but also within their community. But they're also helping to convince kids that you don't have to go somewhere else to get really cool jobs. You don't have to leave the state of Iowa. You can stay in Iowa because we have so many great opportunities for our kids here in Iowa. And for those adults who haven't received any post-secondary education, that are in your workforce, that are good employees, those are exactly the employees you want to recruit to and help them get upskilled so that you can grow that talent pipeline internally.
We're seeing from the employment perspective, I've been in the employment business for 20 years. We are seeing our clients are wanting a specific talent or specific position to be hired, but they're hiring now at a lesser of a skill level. So your point on upskilling, they're hiring somebody, maybe even giving them the same job title, but paying them a little less to train them for what they want them to become. So we're seeing clients now being more willing and open to hire not that perfect match in the hopes of grooming them for the future. And then, the gig economy, we talk about that or hear about that. Contract labor, I've seen a stat that a third of the workforce is somehow involved in contract or gig labor. It's a big number, and that's going to continue. You think of Lyft and Uber, and those are all kind of included in that, along with all of our companies that hire contractors, temp labor to help. So I see that trend continuing to grow and increase, specifically when you're looking for a skill. You may not have it, it may be hard to find, and those people like their flexibility and want to work when and how they want to. And that's going to continue to change the landscape of our employment sector here. So you need to hold on for that.